Well, thank you, Leslie, and good morning, everyone. Welcome to In Touch on WCCI and WCCIradio.com. In Touch is heard Monday through Friday at 11:40 a.m., and we're joined today by Dr. Mark Hansen. He is the Superintendent of Schools for the Eastland School District. And Mark, today we're going to talk about some important facilities upgrades that you're working on, and with that, the possible issuance of bonds. Let's get a little background on this project because I know that you've been working on this with the board, and it's very important and something that we want to give you the floor right now to talk about. Thank you so much for being with us today.
Well, thank you, Brian. Yeah, we have some facility work to do. The Board of Education directed me, would have been last summer, to conduct an audit and to have an engineering firm look at our heating, ventilation, and air conditioning systems in both the elementary and the high school, just in those sections of the buildings that were the oldest. That would be the 1927, 51, 52, and 57 parts of those buildings. Those areas of those two buildings have the original boilers, the original unit ventilators, the original traps and pipes, and we've been having some problems with them, and to be honest, we're concerned about whether they were nearing the end of their useful life. So we conducted those audits, and those audits confirmed some of our concerns, and we immediately asked for some ideas on what we could do to address those concerns, and we got some responses and some ideas, and we're headed in the direction of getting those replaced.
And Mark, as we talk about some of those improvements, I'm thinking over the course of years, technology has really made some huge gains. I know you're talking some geothermal. There are, some really long-term benefits before we talk about, the issuance of the bonds. But, to upgrade the equipment is going to have some great dividends, down the line for everyone involved.
Yeah, Brian, no doubt about it. I think that, in addition to just the fact that for utility purposes, you have to be able to heat your buildings. These areas of the buildings, they don't really exchange air adequately. They don't have any air conditioning other than we have some window units in there. So there's real health issues and just comfort and climate control issues that need to be addressed if the building's going to be modern and it's going to service like a building should. And I think you're exactly right. The technology now and the improvements in the geothermal systems are so significant, and that really there's going to be a payback in terms of energy efficiencies, and over time these things are going to pay for themselves by reducing costs on energy and that is currently being spent. So I think it is a good time to do the work, and in our district in particular, it needs to be done.
And now comes the part of paying for it. I know that with the state situation, that plays part of the equation. I know that, you have some options out there, and I know that's where you're kind of headed. If you would kind of talk about the process which is ahead.
Sure. The estimated cost to do both buildings in geothermal for those old sections is $3.5 million, or I think the exact number was 3.486. And that's a projection. The people that did that projection know what they're talking about, so we expect those costs to be close. We have the ability, the capacity to bond out, to sell bonds, to get the money to do the work, and then you simply then you raise your tax rate to the level necessary to pay on those bonds over time. And so we can do it through a working cash bond, or we can do it through a health, life, safety bond, or we can do it through either one or a combination of the two. And that's what the board will have to decide as they go ahead, is how they want to structure that debt, for how long. On the positive side, this is a good time to sell bonds. I mean, the interest rates are at historical low levels, and they're only going to go up in the future. So it's the right time to borrow money, and the right time in our district to do the work. And I think the other piece of this is what you just talked about with the state, in which case at least some of the things that the state is contemplating, in particular the property tax freeze and the funding formula freeze, could really hurt a district like ours down the road and limit our options for generating the revenues to do the work. When you look at all those pieces, the age of the infrastructure, the favorable interest rates, and the unfavorable climate at the state level, and uncertainty about the future, I think the board really feels like this is work that we need to get going on now rather than later.
And Mark, as a public body, the board has to act in everyone's, best interest, and they also want to make sure that people are aware of what's going on because it is a huge undertaking as far as the financial cost. And even though it almost seems like, it's something that's necessary, you just want to make sure that people are informed, and I think that's kind of what you're doing. The purpose of the visit today is to kind of let people know. And if they want more information, like on this study and the possible remedies and such, where is that available, Mark?
Well, thanks, Brian. You're exactly right in that we definitely want to get the information out and give the public an opportunity to ask questions. Right now, on the homepage of our website at www.eastland308.com, there is a 5-minute presentation that I did on the project and the bond issue, the proposed bond issue. We also have links to the full audits of each building with pictures and explanations about the different areas and the systems in those areas. Those are on that homepage as well. In addition, we issued a resolution of intent to sell working cash bonds. We will have a bond issuance notification hearing prior to the December board meeting at 6:30 at night. We'll be sending out that the law requires us to advertise that between 7 and 31 days before the event, so that'll be advertised in the papers. The board will not be taking action to sell bonds at that meeting. It'll just be a hearing, so if anybody wanted to come and hear a presentation on the project and the bonding and also wanted to express any concerns or just simply ask questions, that would be the night to do it. So there's a lot of time. I guess there's time here in the next couple of months to learn more about it if you want to. There's nothing stopping anybody from learning more about it, and there's nothing ever stopping anybody from coming and just learning about it at a board meeting or participating in discussions about it. So we definitely want to get that out there, and I really appreciate the opportunity today to speak with you about it because it helps us get that word out.
Well, any final thoughts here as our time is winding down? I know this is a very important topic. You want to share it with everyone in the Eastland School District, and as you say, people have the ability to find out more and get educated and then, make whatever statements they need to make or whatnot. But any final thoughts or anything that you'd like to add here in closing today?
These heating and ventilation air conditioning systems are well past their industry-defined useful life. So it's really something that we need to address now, or we're going to be addressing it later, and it could happen at the worst time. You don't want a boiler or a school heating system going down in the middle of a school term. And because of the interest rates being favorable and because of the state's uncertainty and threats to future funding, now is the time to do the work, and I think that's what the board is concluded, and we want to make sure we get that communication out to the public.
Well, Mark, thank you so much for your time today, and if you have further information down the road, you're always welcome to come back. We'll help you get the word out, and again, thank you so much for the information and the time today.
Thank you, Brian. We really appreciate it.
And that's today's In Touch on New Hit Country, WCCI. Our guest today has been Dr. Mark Hansen, the Superintendent of Schools of the Eastland District. In Touch is heard Monday through Friday at 11:40 right here on New Hit Country.